This is the Levels of Value podcast. You're here today because you've seen this. You're not a knucklehead. You know there's a glass ceiling that has to be smashed so you can acquire a skill set. And today I'm bringing on a go-getter, a chief story engineer, a catalyst for charity building, a brand, while helping people harness the power and multiply their impact. Each one teach one. He is 5 books deep and a two-time TEDx speaker. Goes by the name of PHENOM Speaks on the social. So make sure you find him. We're going to put his details below and also like and subscribe to this podcast channel. How are you, my bro?
And Richard, I'm excited. It's been a long time coming for this episode. I'm feeling great and I'm excited to give some massive value to your audience today.
Yeah, with that said, I'd like to know your genesis. Like, do you remember that spark? That was it a story from like your ancestors, or was it like a modern day speaker that stuck with you, right? Like, it can be a moment of like wow or inspiration because some people like I feel like knowingly or subconsciously or not have been a part of this skill of the idea of story. So yeah, like Genesis, any story that like wowed you or inspired you.
There wasn't a particular story that really inspired me to want to get into storytelling or helping people with their branding or all of that. It really sprouted from me working in television, which I was telling you about yesterday, that I don't really talk about much on social media anymore because I've been doing it for about 15 years now. People knew me too much for television. I'm like, okay, I've kind of grown from that. I do a lot more. But when I started working in television at 14 years old,
Wow.
I really got a chance to understand storytelling in and out because that's really what live production is storytelling, how I'm able to show you what I see here in person for the sporting events and how you're able to relate it on TV, the TV cuts, the music, the play-by-play analysts, like all of that, the way that you're like on the edge of the seat when it's like the last seconds of a game, we create that moment. All of that is storytelling. So that's what got me into storytelling.
Wow, that's very interesting. So you was a part of a process, and through that process, I just opened your horizon, like exposure. Yeah, oh, wow, that is. And you said you've been in there since 14
14 years old. Yes, sir.
at the forefront. Wow. I think like learning, listening, and writing will be like 3 skills until the end of time that will be of value, right? Looking from like our ancestors' point, and still obviously there's AI and everything taking over, but with what you do, yeah, I still firmly believe until unless anyone wants to shoot holes up my theory that listening, learning, and writing will be the skills of value until the end of time. And when it comes to storytelling, you said once upon a time, you think about branding and those two go hand in hand. Like the way you brand yourself is going to be through the storytelling, and the way that you tell stories about yourself is going to help you develop your brand. Like, what made you realize like storytelling was like a superpower in business and development?
Because understanding that one, branding is what we think about whenever a person comes to our mind or our business comes to our mind. And so then the story behind those words or the accolades or any of that, that is what allows you to understand and trust the individual over a certain amount of time. Let's just say, for example, if you said in the beginning, I'm a five-time author. So if I had done nothing else, I didn't do the TEDx talks, I hadn't been working in television, all of that. But you just said I was an author, and then from there, I started to tell my story about how I became an author or what drove me there. That gives you a chance to understand me as an individual. You don't care anything about the books, but now you maybe want to read the books because you understand the person who wrote it. And sometimes that's what even drives people to want to read books from certain authors because they understand who the author is, their story, and what they enjoy. And before they even know the book title, the cover, any of that, that's what makes them pick it up. It's the branding. And so that applies to everything that we do in life, whether you're applying for an interview, and that's what makes them reach out to you to actually want to work with the company, whether you're a freelancer, entrepreneur, anything like that. So yeah, storytelling and branding go hand in hand.
Okay, okay, it's like a bridge, right?
Right.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that with us, Rob. I wanted people to see your perspective and your philosophy around it because I think for me it's very interesting. The way you just operate through these territories, and from a skill standpoint, right? From a skill that has utility in the marketplace, like I just want to give that perspective for the value nights who are watching this podcast, like, can you share how you kind of leaned into it, but how storytelling like separates you from other entrepreneurs in your space?
It allows people to, one, trust you, understand your values, two, but also it allows them to grow with you because that's
Mm,
what storytelling is a an opportunity and an invitation for me to invite you into my journey. So let's
wow.
just say, for example, if I'm starting a business and I just pop out one day and was like, hey, I made $100,000 from this business, you're like, congratulations, but when did you start making your first $1,000? When did you start the business, right? But if
Uh,
I sit here and I talk about the business and I talk about the pains, the struggles, the things I didn't realize, the things I had to grow with, the people I met, the things that I dealt with the customer service, all of that, and I share all of that all the way up until I reached that first 100K or whatever, figure someone wants to reach, that allows you to know that I've gotten there step by step. I'm not capping on the internet. Like I've showed you the process through documentation and through storytelling that allows someone to trust you. And then someone that may have never even bought within the first $99,000, now maybe they want to buy with you because they realize, okay, I've seen the process, I've seen the journey, I see the success. I think I want to support them because that's what it is with a lot of people in general. They don't want to support you along your journey. They want to support you once you've kind of gotten to your conclusion and your resolution, you become successful, whatever that is for each individual. And so you have to be able to share that story so people can be able to receive that conclusion of that episode or that chapter of your life for them to be able to trust you a little bit more, especially in this digital age with like AI and all of that. Storytelling is something that's going to continue to connect us as humans.
wow. I love, ooh, I love how you talked about documentation. I think that's
Hmm.
very important for people going through this online journey right now to be documenting your stuff so it can be easy for you to like access, meet people where they are and pull out from that vault. So you can have that where you finished off. I think was very good to bring that full circle, that connection points with humans, bro. I remember one time some come up in my inbox and they're like, "Oh yeah, we see you're doing this online business stuff. Like your stuff just took off. Like it just took off, and it like overnight it just took off." I said, "Bro, if it was an overnight," I said, "Bro, that was the longest night of my life. If you I was thinking, what do you mean it just took off? Like, yeah, there was that stage you were saying, like beginning the story, there was turbulence in the air, there was speed bumps across the road. It just took off though, didn't it? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I hear you. From what you see, and versus what success is, it's not the Instagram pic, it's like the empty night, the lonely nights, the tea coffee
Mhm.
mugs, the baggy eyes, like
Yep.
so respectfully, the Bible is the greatest story told. And of course, that's arguable, but we're talking from a perspective of, getting the seeds out so we can just give the viewers the orange
Right.
juice, or the lemons, or whatever you like, right? So let us know for you guys who are like even below, if you do drink, like not drink like drink, but if you got a favorite beverage you drink while working your goals, feel to put it in the comments below. But what I thought was interesting, Philip, yeah, like compared to other stories, that are on par or been around longer, the Bible is very logical, right? It's
Hmm.
impacted people to do good, and some people also try to take meaning, some people, and weaponize it into something trivia. But we're not going to give them a shout out here today. What I'd love for you to do is break down your process. Like, how do you go about crafting it so that it moves people to action? Do you go with chronological fashion, like from like the Bible? Is there something online business content creators should like know or apply?
Yeah, that's a great question. So it all depends on what the goal is for the story.
Excellent.
So all stories deserve, excuse me, all story frameworks deserve their own particular setting. So
Wow.
you have like the AIDA, I've created my own Spark storytelling framework. You have some frameworks that are leveraged for interviews. So it just depends on where you're telling the story and also how much time that you tell the story. So if you're telling a story for, let's just say, like YouTube shorts, reels, anything like that, I'm going to present a problem with a hook, and then I'm going to present with you the action I'm going to take and then the resolution. I'm going to get in and out of there because I know that you probably weren't even expecting my video to begin with. Um, if I'm in an interview, then I'm going to look to be able to present with you of course, still the problem, the setting, some of the challenges that I had, how I overcame it, and then the key lessons. That's
Wow.
something that's really important to know, especially if you're in a job interview, because they want to know, one, what action did you take, and then what you also learned from it. Because from a company perspective, they want to understand that yes, we're going to come across some issues, but are you actually learning whenever you come across these challenges? And then for my own personal, I created a Spark framework for storytelling, excuse me. And then for that one, I'm more so using that for long form content like YouTube. And for that, I want to make sure that I have the setting. I want to have a good old hook. And then I want to make sure I'm introducing everybody that is involved. From there, the action that's being taken, the key lessons that we end up getting from that, the resolution, and then what will we do next time, essentially. So all stories can be used in every single setting, but it's a matter of what framework are you going to use, and also how much time do you have to be able to tell the story.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, that's powerful. That's powerful. And there is like a formula to your, I'm not gonna say madness, but to your greatness.
It
I
is
think
madness. It feels
like
like
a formula.
madness.
Oh wow, wow, wow. I knocked out your challenge recently, maybe like two sittings, right? And
Mhm.
building a brand, like you said, does offer so many opportunities, but it's not like, what you say, it's how you say it. And
Correct.
how you explain that, I think is going to be very interesting for people to get the way around it. Like, it's not what it's like if you had 8 hours to chop down a tree, if you spend 6 hours sharpening your sword, that next 2 hours is going to be very easy and simple for you. So
Mhm.
building a brand offers opportunities, people get flown out because of value, collaborations. Take us through like what's been some of your favorite doors like with opportunities that have opened, and what do you think they had to hear or see from you? Like, what part of the story do you think, like, what star took you to Bethlehem? Like,
Favorite is a very good question. I'm not a person that really has favorites like that, except for like my favorite artist, which is Tyler the Creator. But I will give you a very recent story that came from personal branding, and this one actually occurred yesterday. So long story short, I am looking to apply for just like various speaking engagements that are going on across the country. There's this one conference that's for current student athletes and former student athletes. I ran track in college. And so I said, oh, I would definitely love to apply to be a speaker at this conference. I went to the very first conference 4 years ago, and this next year is going to be at my alma mater where I went to school, where I actually ran track as a student athlete. And so I said, okay, I got to do it. So the person I applied, the person reached out to me and she said, you know what? I've been following you on social media for a while. I
oh
love
wow,
your content. I love the way that you present yourself. I can tell that you're organized, blah, blah, blah. When I saw your application, I knew that I needed to have you. And then I told her that I ran track there. And she said, I didn't even realize that that's going to make this a full circle moment for you to be one of the co-hosts of the conference, one of the MCs, and you are a student athlete at this host university. And so, if I was never posting my content on Instagram consistently over the last couple of years, if I didn't care about the quality of content that I was putting out, if I was just posting just travel pictures and nothing else, because even if you were to go through my Instagram right now, if you look at my travel photos, there are always stories within it as well. So if I was just like aimlessly posting with no purpose, then she would never had received that energy from me online, because that's all it is. It's just a exchange of energy, right? And that maybe was the difference maker of me being selected as a speaker for this conference next year. And that happened yesterday.
wow, 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 wow. That social media point that you've put out there, I think is going to be so interesting going up. Like, it's like the future belongs to those who want to learn, unlearn, and relearn. And this social media idea, it's like your resume right now for everything. Even from like a job interview standpoint you mentioned earlier, they probably are checking some of your social medias, right?
Oh,
Like,
not even probably.
where
They are. I get
they are.
notifications. They are.
Yeah, this is crazy. So if you've been like giving it attention, some attention which it deserves, which you have, you're gonna score some different kind of credibility and brownie points from that. And by the time it comes around now, your application and they've already been spying on you, it seems
Yes,
like you positioned yourself for to increase your probability of success, bro. For that,
exactly. And that's what the whole book. I wrote a book. It's called Create Your Luck. And that's what the whole premise of the book is about. That's the most recent one. Is yes, there is a sense of being lucky, right? But luck is when opportunity meets the chance meets the opportunity that you have, then when you prepare for it. So when you brand yourself properly, right? When an opportunity comes available, that is your luck. The story that I just gave, for example, right? There was an opportunity for speak. I've been branding myself. I got lucky for being selected, right? So, it's just all about
wow,
presenting yourself. And even to go back to what you were saying before about the interviews, a couple of years ago, I was applying for some jobs, and the interviewer, as soon as we hopped on, he said, "Man, I've been waiting for this interview." I said, "Oh, me too. I want to make. I need money. I gotta pay the bill." He said, "I found your podcast, and I
wow.
listened to a couple of episodes, and I just love what you talk about and the way that you go about your episodes. And I was ecstatic to talk to you about this position." So that's what branding is all about, right? You get a chance for people to understand who you are and trust you before you even say hello to them. And that's why it's so important for you to build your brand, no matter what you want to do in life.
Yeah, that's a highlight reel in itself. This is big T. This is big T. That's that lightning and thunder. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Wow, man. Okay, time for the reality check, right? Because
Let's
you
go.
you said they heard your podcast. Me too. I have been listening to you on the Spotify, my boy. And track number four was a banger, right? You talk about fighting adversity, and I can share with you like why that stood out for me, because when you reach a level of success, right, it's not about skills anymore, it's about stamina. And
Mhm.
it's safe to say you're not a one-trick pony, you wear a lot of hats. How do you manage your brand so people don't get confused at like, what you're doing?
That's a great question. Also, for all the listeners right now, what he's referring to is I have two motivational albums out on Spotify and Apple Music. So the way that you do that is you always want to recenter and ask yourself, what do you want to attract in this stage of life that you are currently in? And
Mm,
that is how you need to brand yourself. For example, I told you last night, I was like, hey, man, I'm sorry. I just got two more broadcasts put on my schedule. I'm working all day. So literally, as soon as this episode is over, and you didn't know about it. That's because I don't talk about it on social media much anymore because I have been doing this for 15 years and people knew me too much as the camera operator, the director, the person that's doing replay for all these sports teams. But I said, I offer way too much to people now. I said, I'm a speaker, I'm an author, I help people with branding. But the only thing that they thought about was my television career. So I had to stop posting about that so I
wow.
can manage what I wanted to be known for. It's not that I don't do it anymore. It's not that I'm not ashamed of it anymore. It's just that when it comes to managing your brand, when you wear multiple hats, you have to ask yourself, what is going to make the most impact on my life, right?
Mhm.
And also other lives. So for myself, when I'm doing my stuff in television, you get no value from that. Unless you are watching it live on TV, if you're catching the highlights on ESPN, that's all the value you get from it. I'm gonna get my check, you're gonna get your highlights that you watch, and you're gonna go about your day. I'm gonna go about my day. But if you see my content, then you go read my book, and then you go brand yourself, and then you end up getting a new job, if you end up getting clients, that is more impactful for you and myself. Same thing if you were to bring me as a speaker, I come speak to your university, you get so much more value from that, as well as the students and the audience, and I get more value from it than if you just know me as someone that works in television. So when it comes to a person that's wearing multiple hats and you do a lot of things, you have to ask yourself, what is going to make the most impact in my life currently that I and within this season at the moment?
within this season at the moment. Yeah, that makes sense, right? Like taking the initiative to be the author of your book. Like,
Mhm.
okay, okay. That makes sense to me. Like you can have it all if you're doing the right things, but what are they and are you doing them? And you took the initiative instead of letting you saw the feedback, right? You was there and that analytical and that allowed you to like pivot towards a direction like you seen was more necessary to be more impactful to your people. And
Right.
that's important. You know, people think some people might think, hey, I've walked down a road, it's too far to come round. Like I don't see no roundabout, I don't see no left, I don't see no right. But he said there's always a way until as long as I'm breathing, like you know, you're only one decision away. And the fact that you made that decision, I think is going to be very impactful for anyone who's yeah, who wears different hats, but noticing, okay, this one here is I'm getting more of a calling for this. I think I can do more in this area, and I'm going to check up what this feeling is all about. So yeah,
Right.
thank you for sharing that, Philip, man. For real, for real.
Of
Culture's gonna
course.
love that, man. If we're going to reality check now, track number one, right? What's your philosophy on personal branding versus business branding for entrepreneurs? Because people out there, they want to inspire, right? They want to make content. They even, let's say, want to put their face out there. So,
Mhm. So I would say that if you are an entrepreneur and you don't want to put your face out there in 2025 going into 2026, you hate money. Just simple as that. You hate money. And I'm going to give two examples with that. One, Alex Hormozy and Layla Hormozy. If you're an entrepreneur, chances are you know who that couple is. They do over 9 figures a year in business.
got a big launch this year as well, isn't there?
Correct. Alex and Layla said that they were making money, good money. But the moment that they started focusing on branding themselves, they made 10 times more money.
Whoa.
That should tell you everything that you need to know. They do over 9 figures a year, right? So, and then on the flip side, if you're like, I don't know who they are, I don't care. Well, think about it like this. At this point, you know what AI is. You're aware of what it is. You probably seen a whole lot of AI generated content on the web, whether it's videos, faceless videos, if you've seen text, if you've seen AI generated books, like there's so many AI generated things that are happening nowadays. You putting your face out there is the realest thing that you can do right now to show people the authentic side of you. And again, I keep saying the word trust because that's why building a brand is so important for people to trust you. So even if I put out, let's just go with, I'm putting out video after video after video, and I've been putting books after books out over years, like before AI came out. And then if I end up using AI to help me write something or anything like that, you're still going to trust me because you've seen the real me over time. But if you are an entrepreneur and you only put out AI generated content or faceless content, and I never see your face, I never hear your voice, I don't get a chance to see the human side of you, there's a lack of authenticity there that doesn't allow me to really trust you because I in this world are you scamming me? Like why do I never see your face? Like why don't I ever see the pixelated like selfies or anything like that? Like what's going on? So that those are the two things I would tell an entrepreneur in 2025 going into 2026 when it comes to building a brand.
So interesting you said that because one person recently I spoke with, it was that sort of feeling. And I didn't know what was going through it, but I'm there like, bro, like I had to G check him. I said, hang on a minute. Like, where's your picture? Can you send me a voice note so I know it's you? And I've played with AI here and there, but I've got a picture. People know it's me. For you guys who don't want to put out your face but can, like, I like how you underlined, like, you know, you might not like money because this in this day and age, an introvert can reach millions at a click of a button. So, like, why would you not? You know, you got a 7 second video, a 30 second, you can make a minute video, all actually put in your face. Whereas I feel like if you was going to do AI and faceless, you're gonna have to be so good at words and storytelling. So good for you. You better turn up. You better turn up feeling to the max if you're doing faceless, you guys, right? Yeah, you're gonna have to be so good at your words. It's gonna be a question of how quickly can you turn words into an image, whereas it's gonna be much easier to build that like, know, and trust factor, like you said, if you're showing up and they're seeing it in real time, documented, right? Like you doing whatever you're doing. You may not be successful, but they're seeing, all right, cool, he's serious. He's walking down this path and this is what they're on, right? And you can see that they're changing and things are changing, and that's gonna rub off on people. So yeah, like if you like money, like why would you not at this point? Like, so
Exactly.
you talk on building an introverts actually caught my attention because like yeah, you don't have to be going outside or rubbing shoulders with fake people who you might not be feeling or I don't know, there's weird COINTEL agendas. Like I would not want a creator to be in a situation. Well, also you mentioned Tyler the Creator earlier. Chance the Rapper is one of my favorite rappers from there, but I wouldn't want.
Really?
I
He's in
love
my top
Chance.
three. I was my
No
wife and
way.
I were just went to his Starline concert in New Orleans.
He done a concert for that.
He's
Yeah,
on tour right now. Yeah.
I'm like halfway through that mixtape, and yeah, obviously I've not got through it because I just keep replaying, keep replaying some of the other songs. But yeah,
I get
he
you. I get
does
you.
something. He does something, man. But yeah, I would not want creators to be in a situation where your thing can only go right or wrong for you to be having to get along with people and industries, like, play this get along thing. Like, I don't advise that being real with fake people gets you nowhere because 7,000 times zero is still zero. So about whether someone can be successful or not, right? When it comes to like breakthroughs in success, right? Your philosophy. So is there anything which you can give us an insight to your philosophy around, just industries and approaching life in general?
Industries and life I also want to make sure I'm clarifying because I think we started talking about introverts first. So we're not in terms of introverts, but just truly philosophy around life in general.
Yeah, because your philosophy of approaching with introverts, like I don't. It's a great time because you're right. We did start there, and I wanted to highlight the fact that you guys have more information than a president did, sort of like 30, 35 years ago, right? You can reach
Mhm.
millions of a click of a button by being at home, by being yourself, without having to play a get along gang, and that's sort of my philosophy when it comes to introverts. And there might be people out there that me and you can't reach, but they want to be successful, but maybe their philosophy ain't as good, or they don't maybe even have a philosophy. So they could get a little insight of, anything that you've added to yours or that's helped you, like, yeah, going through
I
like
got
certain
you.
industries in life. If that makes sense.
So I'll give I'll give two different answers. So when it comes to introverts, I actually just made a YouTube video on this recently. And with introverts who are looking to establish their brand, and establish being the key word here because some people get establishing your brand confused with building your brand. Building your brand is like, oh, I need followers, all that type of stuff. Like, I actually don't care about all of that. I've been at the same like 4,000 followers on IG for like the last 4 or 5 years, and it's done me wonders. But what I've done is establish my brand. And the difference is that is making sure that you are putting out value content over time, right? You don't have to worry about being a social media influencer. You can go write a couple of articles once a month. You can put out a YouTube video out once a month. Over the years, that stacks up for when the opportunity meets
Compound.
you. Right? Exactly. It's compound. Like if you were to go to my YouTube channel, all of my videos have under 200 views, but the right people see them at the right time. And that's why they help me. I don't care about getting 100,000 views. I don't see myself as a content creator, right? Those are probably the people that want to build up their brand. I just want to establish brand. So that's the
Wow.
first thing I would say for introverts is you don't have to worry about being like social media famous or anything like that. Just establish yourself, the educational, the value content that you put on the web for the job interview, the collaboration, when someone ends up wanting to work with you, they have some things to look through for them to want to trust you a little bit more. When it comes to the life philosophy, that's just my Phenom brand. So I don't really think there's much information about it on the web, but Phenom stands for, or for my own brand, stands for preparation, hustle, education, network, overcome, and mentorship. So every single thing that I do in life, I always want to ensure over the last 7.5 years, almost 8 years now, when I started this brand, that it aligns with one of those core values that I personally have. So as long as it aligns with one of those core values, then I'm good. I'm all good to go. I'll do it. I'll move forward. And then I always just want to make sure that I'm executing on everything that I'm doing. I'm giving everything I got. So I'm trying to achieve it. So I always say, how you do anything is how you do everything. And then I always want to teach people. And that's my EAT acronym: execute, achieve, then teach. So that's just the cycle of life that I like to go through.
I love your wordplay on acronyms as well. When I was going through
Thank
your
you.
7 day challenge, you had an acronym for in your branding challenge, which I went through for EAT.
Yeah, it was that one. Execute, achieve, and teach.
Powerful, bro. I love acronyms, man. So yeah, speaking my language for sure, man. For sure.
Glad to hear.
You're, from my research, you're a tech founder as well, and storytelling tech founder. And I knew you could handle a lot of hats here because you're a real hustler, yeah. But for me, it seemed like two different worlds. I'm there like, hang on, this boy's got no breaks. Do they complement each other in your work? Like, because from a digital marketer and online business, like MRRs and PLR, like your strongest formation is like when you're talking like your ducks in a line, like you was talking, that congruency.
Mhm.
Yeah, when you start doing other stuff, like it once you've got them ducks in a row, it makes sense. Like, do they complement each other in your work or?
For sure. So the tech founder, I have an app which you saw within the challenge Black Book Stories. I built that about 7 months ago, and the whole purpose of that app is when we have our daily moments, our conversations, our experiences, there are a lot of lessons that we don't see in real time. So with the whole point of the app is you can do talk to text or journal it. It's like a digital journal, and it'll extract all of that information out for you so you can see what the story is in it. It will give you quotes, it will give you case studies, it will give you the key lessons, it will give you through lines, it will give you hooks, it will give you all of that so you can leverage it in podcast interviews, speeches, keynotes, TEDx talks. Even as an instructor myself, sometimes I'll use them for my classes with my students. So that's the app that I built. And yes, it aligns with everything else I'm doing in storytelling, working in television storytelling, branding is storytelling. The books I write I've written are all storytelling. It's all storytelling because historically, one thing has not changed, and storytelling is it, right? That's how we learn from generation. That's how
Wow.
traditions are passed down. It is all storytelling.
Straight facts, no printer. It is
Yeah.
all storytelling, man. There must have been a pivot point though in that journey when something maybe like didn't work and you to trust yourself, right? To try something maybe completely different. Because I'll keep it a buck with you, right? When I'm introduced into the information age, it was network marketing, right? But it didn't, we was way past the industrial age and my awareness to that had not fully clicked, right? But that didn't
Mhm.
work. I could have been, yeah, sucked everything in. But Tanya Elizo, someone had been watching online. I keep bugging every now and again to do a book like you've done because this branding topic, like, oh my God, I just love the subject, right? And she freed me with this kind of aspect, right? Like Queen Sheba and Solomon, they gave each other gifts when kings and queens from other kingdoms. I know if I ever come to America as someone, maybe I'd try and get something because anyway, now when I pivoted out of there, right, out of the network market, like 5 minutes, it's not like all the time was a waste. All the info was a waste. Like I'd heavily leaned into just the teachings without understanding the concepts of just building a legacy, which in this type of way almost liquidated in a way because I can take this brand anywhere, I can access it from anywhere, I can do what I want under that umbrella, right? I can do network marketing, you can do stocks, like my umbrella and what's interesting, by the time I met like real killer business owners and marketers, to their surprise, my name rang bells that you're saying, oh, like I've watched your thing of da 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 da. And my admiration and respect was mirrored. They took a liking to me, and this is not because I was on their level of success, but because I was doing the right things. But Philip, I didn't know how much like that would play out like in the next 3, 4 years, like with this branding. So and everything that I love, I appreciate, and thank you so much for what you're doing for business owners, for ordinary people doing extraordinary things, for the culture. Like it's playing a huge impact if
Thank
you're
you.
building a legacy and trying to break generational curses, like this is it. So you're creating content across a lot of different platforms. Yeah. What's been, as we round it off, what's one habit that your future self has always thanked you for?
I'm a sucker for learning.
Mm,
If you, if you, for if you're listening to just the audio version of this, there's a whole bunch of books behind me. I'm a sucker for learning to the point that I've taken a memory to course. I've taken speed reading courses.
oh, wow.
I'm currently taking a communication skills course just to improve my communication skills. I'm always looking to learn, and skills pay the bills. So that's something that I have built over the years, is the habit of always looking to learn. And that has continued to elevate me in every single setting that I'm in, whether it's entrepreneurship, whether it's my freelance work, or it's within my corporate jobs, is continuously learning.
Thank you for sharing, man. I definitely agree with you. Going from a growth mindset, from a fixed mindset, like outside my faith, the one decision that's impacted my life the most was what you're talking about. And I learned it through this book here by Carol S. Dweck, which is like the psychology of
Oh, I have that book. Yeah, it's a great book.
could be one of the most important books in the English dictionary because to arrive at that moment you're talking about, yeah, epic, man. So what you're about to one more question, or do you should we let you leave so you can get there on time, man?
We can rapid fire it. Yeah, let's do
Yeah,
it.
right. All right, cool. What's one app or tool that you can't live without as a content creator?
Well, one, I don't really see myself as a
Check. I'll click record. Let's get. So I let you. All right, you can hear me. I can hear you. So yeah, what's one tool that you can't live without as an entrepreneur? Because you don't pass yourself as a content creator.
Man, it's crazy. I heard the question. I still don't have an answer to it at the moment. My calendar. I live by my calendar. Yeah. If you were to see what my calendar looks like, you'd be like, "Are you okay?" And the answer is no, but I'm good. Yeah, my calendar. If you were to take my calendar away from me, I'm just like, all right, well, I'm just gonna go on vacation because everything's just gonna hit the fan. And I'm not gonna know what's going on anymore. So, yeah, that's my one tool, my calendar.
There's one thing about an entrepreneur. You have to learn like being okay with not being okay. Like, yeah, never gets old. But with that said, what's okay, cool. What's the biggest maybe mistake that you made early on that you want the tribe to avoid?
A mistake early on. I lean into all of my mistakes, so there's nothing that I would take back.
This one, I'm
I would say I would say not having my business account set up and paying all my business expenses from my personal account. That would probably be the thing that I would have avoided early on.
what do you mean, like LLC or
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, like I
oh,
had an LLC, but for some reason I had all my tools that I was using, like let's just say with Adobe Editor, it was coming out of my personal checking account.
you wish that you should have done it on the business one. You see what you're
Yeah.
saying? Okay, that's very powerful, man. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Philip Speaks Levels of Value podcast. We gotta let the boy run, but make sure you check him out. Check out his book. Check out his stuff on YouTube. You can find him on Instagram, and let this be the year we get it together and get it all. We're gonna leave them details right below. Philip, thank you, man.
Been
Blessings
a
be upon you,
pleasure.
brother. Have a safe
I'll
journey.
talk to you soon, Richard.
Respect, my brother. Respect.
Talk to you later. Bye.